After the game this weekend against Nottingham Forest, I didn't get a chance to do a mass reaction because I wasn't around. I wasn't in the studio, but I'm back in the studio now. And for a second, I thought about not doing it, but I was like, it's very important that we get these match reactions done because it kind of helps us evaluate where we were, how we've improved, and what we need to improve on. Talk about the game, how we see it from a fan's perspective. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section as usual. And if this is your first time, please remember to subscribe. And we're going to go ahead and dive right into talking about the game. And the very first thing I want to talk about is in relation to Ruben Amorim's quote after the game. So after the game, Ruben Amorim said this: "The big teams know how to respond to difficult moments. Sometimes when you can't win, you shouldn't lose. Today, I had the feeling that we wouldn't lose, and that's a good feeling. If you can't win, you shouldn't lose." That's the important line that we need to take from this. And I said this after we played, that was Brighton? No, Liverpool. Liverpool, that was the first time we saw this instance where we went level and the team was able to still go out and get the win. Against Brighton, it was something similar where Brighton got 2 goals back. And for those of us who have been watching Manchester United for the past couple of years, you know how that game would end if, for instance, that was last season. We would have lost that game, at most tied the game, but we went on to get another goal to solidify the win. And it's the same thing Ruben Amorim is talking about here. We got 2 goals in a matter of, I don't know if it was 5 minutes or 3 minutes, but that was just a complete lack of concentration. There's no other way to define it. For people who try to make it about tactics and stuff like that, no, it's not about tactics. It is not about, no, it was just a lack of concentration. Immediately you're back from the second half. The other team was ready to go, but you're still getting yourself in the game. You cannot blame tactics for that. You cannot blame the formation for that. You have to blame the players. There were some individual errors. I'm not going to go into it, but the fact is that as a team at that moment, the concentration was not there. It wasn't there 100%. We were not in the game yet. But after conceding, we were able to stay in the game and we were able to get a point from that game. Nottingham Forest has been one of those grounds where in the past couple of years, we know they've struggled this season, but in the past couple of years, it's been very tough to go there and get a result. And they've personally tormented us. They have tormented us the past, like last year. It was a different result. They did the double over us last year. So to go there and get a point, some people would underestimate it, but it is a very important point. If you can't win the game, you don't lose the game. Like the manager said, that's very important. And now that leads me to talking about Amad Diallo. He's the goal scorer. He's the one who got us back on level with that strike, that amazing strike from outside the box, right at the edge of the box, the volley. In this game, we could notice that the height of Amad Diallo was being exploited, and they even took advantage of it because they scored one of their goals from that. But I think they put in that cross several times towards Amad Diallo. I could notice they put in the cross towards him several times, and they finally got away with it. Like we can kind of blame some of the defenders for not helping out in that instance, but it's just something you can't help, Amad Diallo's height. And that leads me to the question: do you leave him in the team or do you put him out of the team? If you ask me, I want you to let me know what you think. Because now, with teams figuring out that, okay, he's playing at the right wing back and they can exploit his height, do you leave him in the team or do you take him out of the team? If you ask me, I would say we need Amad Diallo in the team. Because, for instance, that strike at the edge of the box is what you get when you have Amad Diallo on the pitch. That strike at the edge of the box. He's one of those players that are he's still going into his prime. He's a young player. He's learning. He's getting better every day. But he has the technical ability. Like, he's so good. You can see it with his touches, his passes, his chance creation, his goal scoring, his assists. Those are the moments he gives you when he's on the pitch. So if you want to take him out, then who do you replace him with? You know, it's just something we have to work on. The defenders have to cover each other better based on each other's strengths and weaknesses. And we talk about formation every day. If we bring in a defensive minded person, then we're playing with 5 defenders, because in as much as we talk about defenders all the time, we end up playing with 4 defenders most of the time, if not 3. We end up playing with 4 because Amad Diallo spends most of the time in attack. So for me, that's just, we really cannot drop Amad because of what he brings to the team. So for those of you who want to talk about system, which is something I've started hearing again after one draw, like, it's just how crazy how people talk about Manchester United. It's like one draw or one negative result and everything starts going south. Because I started hearing people talking about the system again. The draw against Nottingham Forest has not had nothing to do with the system. It's just the players' lack of concentration. And it's very normal for every team to drop points at some point, regardless of how good you are. You're always going to drop points. You might get a tie, you might lose a game. But like we said, the most important thing is that we did not lose the game. But we got a tie and we got a lesson out of there. We take the draw, we take our lessons, and we need to learn how to break down teams that sit in a low block. That is one of the issues we have. It was very clear. It's been clear for a while now. We struggle to break down teams who sit in a low block. So we need to learn how to break down those teams. That is the next step in becoming a big team. Because when you're a big team, a lot of clubs are going to sit back against you because they don't want to leave themselves exposed. You cannot want to win the league and you're playing the low block every time. No. Does not work like that. But one more thing I'm going to talk about is Gary Neville's comments on Sesko. Before I go on to talk about that one, maybe let's talk about the midfield first, and then we're going to finish up with Gary Neville's comments about Sesko. But let's talk about the midfield, right? Going into this game, we said one key area to pay attention to was the midfield because of the fact that we're being linked with Elliot Anderson. And after watching Anderson and watching Baleba play against Manchester United, I know we still have to watch Adam Wharton. I want you to let me know who would be your preferred pick. I mean, I guess just from the performances, you could probably guess what a lot of people would go for. Personally, I would still love to see Baleba at Manchester United. First, because he just happens to come from the same country as me, Cameroon. So I would love to have him at Old Trafford. But he has to up his performances. The club, I'm always going to put the club first before the individual. I don't care who it is. But he has to up his performances. There's no way you can get signed if you're just going to come and not perform. So after watching them, I really enjoyed Anderson, and he was very commanding. This was his numbers against Manchester United. He had 100% tackles won. He had 15 passes into the final third. He had 14 ball recoveries. He had 3 chances created, 3 fouls won, 2 attempted take-ons, 2 successful take-ons. These are brilliant numbers. You might look at it like a lot of it, like the 2 take-ons, 3 fouls won is not a lot. But when you put that in a game where other people are also, when you put those numbers in the Manchester United team with other people doing what they're supposed to do, that amounts to a lot. He absolutely controlled the game. He was running the show. He was standing out. He was amazing. So honestly, I love Baleba because, like I said, he's my countryman. But I would always pick performances over individuals. So if you ask me, I'd say go with Anderson. But within now and the end of the season, things can change. And Baleba was Ruben Amorim's first pick. So it boils down to who the manager wants and who the club can get. Because I still think both of them are good players. Baleba, I know his head is kind of turned right now, and he can obviously come back from that. But yeah, we need to try and get Elliot Anderson, because he's gonna bring in that work rate. He's gonna bring in that work rate. He's gonna bring in that defensive work. He's gonna, even in like attack, he's gonna create chances. He's passing. He had 15 passes into the final third, and that's something we have been struggling with. Final third. You know, that's very good numbers for a defensive midfielder. So it's left for us to find out if Ineos can bring him to the Theatre of Dreams. And now that leads me to my last point, which is Gary Neville's comments about Benjamin Sesko. And this is what Gary Neville said, if you haven't heard it. The jury is out. He's well off it compared to the other summer signings. Manchester United made up front, compared to the other summer signings Manchester United made up front, like Cunha and Buemo. He looks awkward. I don't know how to react to that. When you say he looks awkward, I don't get it. But he looks awkward. He had a couple of good opportunities against Forest, but his touch wasn't quite right. A couple of good opportunities, I don't get it, but let me just read it. For 80 million, you can say he's young and settling in, but you still want to see a bit more. I don't get what the issue is with Manchester United legends. We complain about that every season, and it's like they just keep getting worse and worse. A lot of people have made mention to the fact that when Gary Neville started being a pundit, he was saying a lot of things and everybody loved it. Every United fan loved it, but it looks like he's just gone the other way. Like Ruben Amorim said, if you're a pundit, you need to say something strong for people to listen to you, and maybe that's just what he's doing. But I did used to watch Gary Neville at first. I didn't watch him that much. Like I would see one or two clips online, but I didn't pay attention to him that much. So I can't really tell how his punditry was at first compared to now. But this is I don't know how to put it, but this is something bad for a club legend to say. Benjamin Sesko is a young player, like you clearly said it. He's 22, and at this point, he already has 2 goal contributions. He has 3 goal contributions, 2 goals, and 1 assist, including the fact that he was the one who made the header against Chelsea, which could have led to another goal that led to the red card. His contribution in the team has been very massive. He's 22. You cannot compare him to Buemo and Cunha. Buemo and Cunha have that Premier League experience. Buemo is 25 or 26. Cunha is about the same age. Those guys have a lot of experience ahead of him already. Those guys are older than him, and they have experience in the Prem. So for you to compare Sesko to Cunha and Buemo is not just the right comparison to make. It is not. You're putting a lot of pressure on the player unnecessarily. I don't hear him talk. I get it. He's a Manchester United fan, a Manchester United legend, so he's going to talk about the club. But I don't see them giving the same energy to Liverpool, who has Wirtz, who was signed for 130 million, who has Isak, who has played in the Prem and was signed for 150 million. Nobody gives that same energy to either of them. But Sesko, who has 2 goal contributions and has 2 goals and an assist, and with how good he's been playing, with his minutes to goal ratio, you want to talk about him? It's a disgrace. It is a disgrace, because we are putting these players under unnecessary pressure. He's only been here for 10 games and he hasn't played all the games. And you say he had a couple of good opportunities. I watched the game. I didn't see, except the ball that was played over the top, which I know his touch led him down. I didn't see a lot of those opportunities you're talking about. He didn't have clean-cut opportunities. And so far, he's creating his opportunities. There's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot to improve in his game. But Benjamin Sesko is not as bad as you make it sound. He's not even bad at all, like you make it sound with your comments. So, Manchester United legends, they need to do better. We as fans, we need to do better with supporting the players, because it is only with our support that those players can get better and they can do better. You know, it's with our support that those players can get better and they can do better. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But overall, I think this was a good game. Keyword, if you can win, don't lose the game. If you can't win, don't lose the game. That's how you improve. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And thank you for watching.